From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of evenings, LALATE, with huge news about your stock market crash of 2022, your housing market crash of 2022, the recession of next year, and your fourth stimulus check of 2022. Latest update tonight. In tonight's recording, we go over the major developing details not here in the States, but in Brussels, as a major deal by the European Union is set to be signed today that would signal the end to potential those soaring gasoline prices back at home. All the latest breaking news on that front tonight. It's brand new for a Sunday, May 29th, 2022. It impacts everything back at home that had a tumultuous week, with those inflationary numbers soothing lightly, down 4.9%. But what happened with the GDP? All the latest details on that front as well. Next up, the auto sales plummeting on Friday. Year to date, down 24%. Why is the auto market in recession? All the latest breaking news tonight. Housing sales down 17% year to date. This is as the housing market, in my prediction, was the first industry to go into recession. The rest of the U.S. economy would be going into recession in one more year. A fourth stimulus check is in every U.S. state, and in this recording, we're going to go over that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. I found it. You're not going to see it anywhere else. And those incredible checks in tonight's recording are big, upwards of $85,000. You deserve it. It's coming up in tonight's recording. Then we'll be turning back to the Build Back Better Act, the incredible provision in there that they got ready to a potential vote in just a few weeks. Next up, the SS300 that could give you an additional $300 on top of your existing benefits. And then over to student loan debt forgiveness with a major deal that was offered this week, as I had predicted it was, and it was rejected. What does that mean for the future? Then this coming week, the bear market. What does this market mean, as those FOMC meeting notes last week give us indication of what's happening? That fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state, available tonight. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. And Step 3, get that incredible newsletter. And tonight, stay with me over this 1 hour broadcast. We have big money. It's America's most watched show for financial news in prime time. The excitement, the details, the breaking news, the money start right now as Evenings LALATE gets underway from the shores of Santa Monica, California, this beautiful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend, starting right now. And good evening, everybody, from a beautiful night here on the coast of Santa Monica, California. A recession is looming for next year. And what does that mean for you? It means you need to get every fourth stimulus check that's available. And later in this recording, we're going to go over those fourth stimulus checks that are available in every U.S. state. I found them for you, and how can you get them? You stay with me over this 1 hour broadcast. A big broadcast with a lot of major news, even on a Memorial Day weekend. As the housing market crashing across the board, housing sales down dramatically. Lots of data that came in on Friday. All the latest on that. The stock market crashing, and it's not done there. We're in a bear market, and we're also going into a recessionary environment. All the latest details on that front as well. And of course, those fourth stimulus checks in every U.S. state. We're going to start with, of course, the fourth stimulus update tonight, with the shores of Santa Monica, California, heating up for this Memorial Day weekend. And also what's heating up is the price of gasoline. There is a major deal being done right now, and we're going to talk about that deal in just a second. It's being done on a Sunday, not in the United States, but impacts our money back at home. It's in Brussels by the European Union, and it's about gasoline. But first, we're going to start with the fourth stimulus checks, both the ones that are law, the ones that are coming thereafter. A fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state. It's the result of my research for you. And I'm going to get you that check later in this recording. Big checks for you if you're single, if you're married, if you're children, without children. If you are on disabilities, if you're not on disabilities, if you rent, if you own, lots of checks, including MSC, baby. Direct deposited, oh yes. But you got to watch the second half of this video to find out how to get those incredible checks. Now let's go to those additional additional checks that would be coming thereafter. They're from the Build Back Better Act. The Build Back Better Act, a piece of legislation that goes through congressional action to get passage. And those incredible checks passed in the House and now in the Senate. The negotiations underway between two individuals, and they are Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer. Not involved in the negotiations is Liz Warren, not included. Not included is Bernie Sanders. Not included is Nancy Pelosi. Not included is me. I mean, why did they not include me? I would have brought some wonderful bacon. Well, no, I would not have. It's missing. But other than that, we would have had a great negotiation. As one viewer said, LALATE, are you bringing Sirloin back? I am bringing Sirloin back. He's just in the negotiation room with Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin, and they won't let him out. The provisions in that Build Back Better Act are incredible. They are huge. And what is in there? 3 clauses and 3 add-ons of checks. Let's go over the fate of those checks. What do you mean by fate, LA? What I mean is that these negotiated elements are going to get modified because these are people a year later, Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer, doing things on the provisions that were approved last year by the House. So let's go over the fate of those provisions. The takeaway, let me give you the summary, is that anything with the expansion of Medicare or paid leave would not survive because those are provisions Joe Manchin's against. MSC, would that survive? Absolutely. $2,000 a month, $1,000 thereafter. I think, excuse me, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months is what the legislators represent. Tens of thousands of viewers were told by those 6 legislators that they would include that incredible MSC provision in there. And you need to advocate to Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, Sanders, and Schumer. These are the same people that said they would do it last year. And of course, Chuck Schumer is one of the 2 people negotiating the Build Back Better Act right now. That is the MSC. What about those other 2 add-ons? Would those survive? The first one, I believe, would. That is the $25,000 for the purchase of a first home because the housing prices are out of control. And also the mortgage rates are out of control. Both of those issues resonate with the citizens of West Virginia, which is always sort of the focal point of Joe Manchin. $25,000 for the purchase of your first home, I think it would survive. Good news there. Not so good news on this one. $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. This is funded by the expansion of Medicare, and I don't believe it would survive. And unfortunately, it's a great provision, but I don't think it would survive. Let's go to those individual clusters and see the fate of those provisions. Again, this is all based upon Joe Manchin's comments from 2021. He can change, and I'm just giving you predictions based upon his factual statements of last year. Cluster number 1, hazard pay. The earned income tax credit established by third stimulus. 1 more year? Absolutely. I see no reason not to have that included. I think that would survive. The $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 to care for young children. Would that survive? Yes, so long as it's not funded by Medicare. Then let's go to the next provision. The nutrition. Yes, that would survive. What about the home repairs? Absolutely, based upon the same concept of buying a new home. It's too expensive. And then the $12,500 for the purchase of electric vehicle. I believe that would survive so long as it does not impute anything for the energy environment, of which Joe Manchin is very specific on as head of the Energy Commission of the Senate. Let's go to that second cluster. Okay, here we go. The home repairs has been removed and is now a 4th stimulus check in every U.S. state. It is check A, which is coming up later in this recording. Paid leave would absolutely not survive. Paid leave was one of those provisions that Joe Manchin said emphatically during the negotiations of 2021, take it out. And it was removed, and then Nancy Pelosi, in spite of Joe Manchin, put it back in there. So I think it's going to come out. And that is actually the provision that Meghan Markle was trying to negotiate for us. Who appointed her? Queen of Stimulus. No, well, she's the Queen of Stimulus. I guess I'm the King of Stimulus. She was advocating for that incredible provision, and that's likely to not survive. So there you go. Sorry, Meghan. Now let's go over to the next and final cluster of checks. That is the third one. That is the true unfortunate calamity. The free internet for all checks, yes, that would survive. Farmers checks, yes, that would survive. Independent contractors checks, yes, that would survive. But you know what I'm about to say. Of course, anything for seniors that is funded by the expansion of Medicare would not survive. Dental, nope. Vision, no. Hearing, no. Lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55 so millions of more Americans get Medicare assistance? Absolutely not. That's exactly counterintuitive to exactly what Joe Manchin says. He believes the system is broken and should not have any more money thrown at it until it's reformed. And then the Medicaid gap fix. Well, here it's interesting. The Medicaid gap fix, I believe, would survive because he actually drafted this piece of legislation with Raphael Warnock, the senator from Georgia. That is to provide uninsured people in 12 Republican holdout states insurance. Whoa, that is huge. Now, why is the Build Back Better Act negotiations heating up, and how likely is this to get done? First, how likely? Absolutely going to get done. Absolutely going to get done, in my opinion. Now, the question is when. Why am I so emphatic it's going to get done? Because there's a lot at stake. And the number one thing at stake, as you already know how this works with these people, is their jobs. Their jobs are at stake. That's why they're going to get done. And what is specifically their jobs? The Democrats' control of the Senate. The Democrats' control of the Senate implores that they must pass the Build Back Better Act. Otherwise, they lose the Senate. More importantly, who's at issue? Raphael Warnock, the guy we just spoke about, the senator from Georgia. His reelection is up later this year. I know it's a short term. He's only in there for about 1 year, and his term is up, and he has to run against Herschel Walker, the Republican nominee that got that nomination last week. And the way that the Democrats look to secure control of the Senate is by passing the Build Back Better Act. And that is why it's going to get done. The next question is, when is it going to get done? I believe the ramping up of it is about 4 weeks out. And so that is why I know how your wallet works. I know how your bills work. You can't wait 4 more weeks. You need to get a check tonight. And that is why back in the month of February, actually March, viewers of the show said to me, LA, do you have a forced stimulus check for me? Do you have a forced stimulus check for me? And I said, let me go find it. And I found it. And I have it for you later in this recording. It ain't one check. It's lots of them. A forced stimulus check is now in every U.S. state. You're not going to see this anywhere else except here. This is the best channel in the United States for this. And the number one in the United States for this. Because I don't just report the breaking news, financial, the projections for, and the analysis of the financial news markets, but I also get you checks. And that starts later in this recording. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. There's a link right under the video. Step 2, become a member. The join button is under the video. Step 3, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday. And step 4, stay with me to the second half. Because in that second half, we're going to go over those big checks. Now, the reason why forced stimulus will happen is because also the economy is not doing well. The economy is not doing well. Republicans and Democrats now this time agree on those elements. Now, let me make something very clear, because I know this is going to happen next week. I just feel it coming on. Do you feel it coming on? It's sort of like my prediction that Nancy's not going to change her hairstyle by next week. I just feel it coming on. I just feel she's going to show up. It's going to be the same hairstyle from last week. Let me go over what I feel coming on. I feel coming on that some financial analysts on Wall Street are going to say the numbers from Dollar General and Dollar Tree and Macy's and Nordstrom shows that maybe this economy is actually sort of good. Here we go. Yeah. People are going to start to pull out 1 or 2 or 3 good numbers from last week and say everything is suddenly maybe good. No. Let's go over the details right now. First, we have the inflationary number. It showed that there was a little bit of easing in that inflation coming in on a benchmark. This is not an inflation number. This is a benchmark number. And that number was assurances that maybe it was easing. But let's be very frank here, folks. When you do these numbers and they go down 1/4 of a percentage point, it's not much of a reliable number. So this is an April number, and the number is the Core Producer Consumption Expenditure Price Index. That's very hard to say, isn't it? Yeah, it's just very long. You have to have lots of bacon in your mouth to be able to say that really well. And it went down from 5 they're expecting this come to at 5.2%, came in at 4.9%. Big deal. It's basically the same number, I'm going to say. It's basically the same number. And the analysis came in with Wells Fargo senior equity analysis, Charles Harvey, who said the consumers appear to have a barbell approach to spending. Okay, here comes the analysis. Low-end necessities and high-end experience, high-end luxury items are doing well, and everything in the middle is not. I just don't buy into it. It's just not true. What is he talking about? He's talking about Walmart and Target, middle of the road, doing very badly in those corporate earnings 2 weeks ago and last week. And then high end, which was this last week, Macy's and Nordstrom kicking it out of the ballpark. And low end, Dollar Tree and Dollar General also getting major home runs. And here comes that analysis. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'll explain to you more in a second why this is a little bit more elaborate than something so simple as, it's better quality goods, it's lower quality goods. The next part of the situation, of course, is the other part of the economy, and that is the auto sales. As you go into the weekend, you may be renting a car, or maybe you're driving that car you bought last year. Well, here you go. The auto sales numbers show how incredibly ignorant the auto industry is. And that auto industry is running the cars on basically the gasoline ideas of 2021. And those cars and the auto industry is going to stall. Do you like that metaphor? I love that metaphor. Just sort of came up with it. What did the auto industry do in numbers release this before the weekend? In those numbers released before the weekend, the auto sales were down 24% year to date. That's a lot, folks. Down 24%. I know that last year was one of the best years for the auto industry, but I've also been reporting since the month of February, the auto industry is the first with the housing to already be in recession. This is important numbers. I'm going to tell you why. These numbers show an industry where they're running on rose-colored glasses. They're running on false narratives. And what is the false narrative? This is what the data actually said. I'm not even making it up. The data actually said on Friday. This data year to date shows that the dealerships are putting less cars on the floor and they are increasing the price for the profit level for them more than ever. And that the buyer did not buy. I love you, buyer. You did not bite at it. The buyer came into the dealership to look at cars in this new data that came in, and they said, why are there less cars on the floor? And why is this car so much more money than it should have been just a few months earlier? The data in from the auto industry shows that the buyers did not buy at that price point and will not. And that is why the auto industry, in my opinion, is really going to tank in a big bubble environment. How much more did they try to do this? Sales were down 24%, actually 23.8%, because they put less cars on the lot and they tried to make $5,000 a profit on a car compared to the nationwide average of $2,000 the year before and most years thereafter. This elevated price per unit, which means more per car, is dropping the sales volume. Well, obviously, this is just obvious calculations. You put less of cars on the floor and you increase the price, people will not buy it. Who else tried this gimmick in the last few weeks? The housing industry. The housing industry tried the same gimmick in the last 2 weeks, and guess what happened with them? Their data came in the same day as auto. And let's look at the housing data that came in. Whoa, here we go. Housing sales down 17% year to date. What did the housing industry do? The same thing the auto industry did. In the new report that came in on Friday before Memorial Day weekend, this is what housing did. They saw that the subcontractors wanted more money, higher labor prices. They looked and saw the material costs went up. So what did they do? They increased the price of the home and did not absorb the costs. The home builders could have said, you know what, I'll make a little bit less profit. I just want to make sure I keep the same price point for the consumer. What would I have done? I would have looked at the market and said the mortgage rates have gone from 3% in February to 5.5% right now. No one's buying a home at a 5.5% mortgage rate. And I said, I'm worried that they're not going to buy a home because the mortgage is going through the roof. I'll take a little bit less profit to make sure I sell the home. They did it. The housing industry did the reverse. They increased the price of the home to a level that no one had seen before, too high. And then the mortgage rates were out of control from 3.5% to 500%. But guess what happened? No one bought. Housing down 17% year to date, but here's another data that came in on Friday. And this is from Redfin. This is also from the Market Composite Index. It showed that 1 in 5 home sellers had to drop the price of their home. In the week ending May 22nd, this is the highest price reduction of homes since 2019. And now that the sales of new homes are at the lowest level since pre-pandemic, I mean, really almost the year before pre-pandemic, this is a big problem. The mortgage rates, of course, have surged out of control. The reason why this data is so important to you and this channel, the housing data especially, is it's delayed data. It is delayed data. When we're talking about forced stimulus checks, and we're talking about the importance of giving you the money and how the economic environment is so unstable, You can look at the stock market and see something moving in a particular day. But you look at the housing market, it's delayed. Housing data is delayed 90 days out because the people that go to buy a house in February got those great mortgage rates before the housing market crashed, before the stock market crashed, before the Federal Reserve came in. They got a great rate. They went into close to sell the house, and it takes 90 days to close. 90 days brings it up to the present. Yeah, it's delayed. Also, the auto data is delayed. And that is why it's important to get that fourth stimulus check. That is in every U.S. state. It's important to get that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state, and it comes from this channel. What happened? Well, back in the month of March, viewers said to me, LA, can you find me a check? I need a check. Build Back Better Act is not getting done. Can you find me a check? And I said, yeah, I will look for a check. That's what I do. And I found it, not one, but multiple checks. And in the second half of this video, we're going to be going over those multiple checks. Now let's turn to the bear market because, of course, this is where most people see the implosion of the industry and the financial markets happening. Everyone understands stocks go up and everyone understands stocks go down. And when they go down so dramatically, then they worry about, of course, the recession. Let me tell you where the stock market crash of 2022 is tonight and why that impacts Build Back Better Act. Nothing could impact Build Back Better Act more clearly than the stock market crash because it's happening live. You see it on a Monday and then you react to it on Tuesday. And the negotiations with Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin involves two people that clearly own stocks, and their constituents clearly own stocks. And they go in there and they realize, we got to do something. And people's net worth is being dissipated and dramatically reduced overnight. Let me tell you where the stock market crash is and give you a guidance on where it's heading. First, on the data shows that, one, we're in a bear market. Bear market means we will be going down 25%. Are we down 25%? Yes, we already are down 25%. So that's why we're in a bear market. Will we go lower or is this the bottom? This is not the bottom. This is not a dip. Do not buy here. This ain't a dip. This is a slide. What I used to teach on the crypto shows on this channel. It's a slide down. We are not at the bottom. How low are we going to go? Double the depth of how low we are right now. We're going to go to 47.8% down. That's what happens when you have a recession and a bear market. You go down 47.8%. We're only halfway down, generally for the whole market. Now, how do I gauge that myself individually? What you need to do is look at the overall market. I don't want you to look at anything individually because you saw in the last 2 weeks, Target down 40%, Walmart down 30%. Dick's Sporting Goods down 30%. You saw the implosion, Snap on the technology side down 40%. That is in one day, folks. That's in one day. And you may say 40%, but you said we're going to go down 48%. You mean on top of that? I want you to look at the entire market. The entire market has to go down 48%. So if your stock went down 40% in one day because of bad corporate earnings, you're just getting started. You have a long way down to go. Yeah, it's really bad news. It's horrible news. It's horrible news. And that horrible news means that millions of Americans will be looking for stimulus in 90 days from now. What have we learned in the last few days? In the last few days, a lot of my analysis, financial analysis, stimulus analysis, economic predictions have all come true. And one of them that was really the most shocking for me to hear repeated in broadcast media was my statements about where this economy is going. We're not in a recession. We are in a bear market. Those are two different situations. But the situation right now is that we will be in a recession next year for 2 years. However, the downward spiral of the economy right now is not a recession. And I'm predicting that in 90 days out, we will have a stimulus stampede. Stimulus stampede means where millions of Americans come to this channel and look for stimulus. I already saw it. I already started really picking up this Memorial Day weekend. People coming on and saying, I haven't been around in a while. I need money. Something happened. And where do we see this repeated? Where do we see my reporting confirmed in the last 24 hours, 48 hours? A new report out of Silicon Valley that says they see financial carnage coming in less than 90 days. That's not recession. That is the downward spiral of this economy. It's inflation, it's labor, and it's also corporate earnings. We saw it as viewers in the stores. Viewers in the live chat in the last few days have reported that in their Midwest towns, they have seen in the big box retailers, they go into the store and the viewers are reporting that they suddenly go to checkout and they see one teller there or one store merchant there and not three the week before. They also report in the live chat, the viewers, that their friends and neighbors are starting to be laid off. People are being laid off left and right. Now, we already knew that was going to happen. Why? Because we had that guidance from Walmart who said, we have products on this floor and they're not being sold, and we have too many merchants. We can't keep these store merchants on the floor. The massive layoffs of 2022 have not happened yet, but we did have those unemployment numbers that came in on Thursday, and that showed 200,000 new jobless claims for the week last week. These are horrible numbers, folks. You can't have 200,000 jobless claims coming out of a pandemic. Those are very, very bad numbers. And what does that mean for this economy? Well, rising prices to live, gasoline, food, inflation. You're being hit by inflation. Then your consumer savings are down 15% year to date. We learned this last week. Down from 77,000 to 66,000 is average consumer savings. Next, Jay Powell hitting those interest rates so badly, raising those interest rates to battle inflation. That's costing it more to live if you have car payments or anything flexible. And all these things impact you, and suddenly you say, hey, I need some forcible checks. I need a lot of them. And that is what's going to be happening in 90 days out from here, even more so than now. You're watching the videos today, but get ready for the people coming on this channel 90 days from now. Why? Number one, labor in the United States is going to change dramatically. You're going to see massive layoffs confirmed by your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues in your local towns coming. You're going to see those layoffs coming. And those layoffs are already starting to percolate, as viewers have been reporting in the live chats. You've already seen those layoffs discussed in the corporate earnings where they say they have too many employees in their stores. Next thing, layoffs. And this time, the layoffs will be followed with no hirings or hiring freezes. Let's be frank. When you go into recession, you also post a hiring freeze, meaning just don't apply here. We don't have jobs. How dramatic is this? How dramatic a change is this? 2 months ago, we were talking about labor shortage. Couldn't find people to work. Soon it's going to change to, we don't need you to work. Yeah, that's how quickly it's going to change. And what does it mean for your stimulus? All those wonderful unemployment stimulus items of 2020 do not exist anymore. FPUC for my independent contractors like Uber or Lyft or sole practitioners, that FPUC does not exist anymore. PUA does not exist anymore. FPUC, that add-on that goes on top of UI or PUA per week, that's $600 or $400, however much it was at any particular time, does not exist anymore. LWA does not exist. What about small businesses? I had someone send me a beautiful message on Facebook, private message over the weekend saying, hey, my small business is in trouble. I don't have consumers coming into my store. Do you have me some EIDL grants, some small business loans? No, I don't. EIDL grant and EIDL loan don't exist anymore. And so suddenly, if all these instruments that you use to survive the onset of the pandemic in 2020 are not available at the onset of a recession, yeah, you see where we're going here. How many Americans understand there's a recession coming? A lot. A lot of Americans who are like you, watch financial news on a regular basis, understand. 81% of Americans who were polled by a financial news channel recently said there's a recession coming. So they certainly understand that and are engaging their spending and their savings appropriately. They actually believe it's coming later this year. Now, let's be frank. When it comes to economic news, I give you guidance months ahead of time, and my guidance has been right. Not to pat myself on the back, but I think I am. My guidance has been right on this economy for over a year. So let me tell you where we are and where we're going. First, last spring, I said that we were going to have 8% inflation in December 2021, and it was going to be continual, not temporary or transitory, as Jay Powell said at the time. It was. Where is that inflation rate tonight? It's likely even a little bit higher or about the same. Jay Powell is going to come in with something in that June FOMC meeting. So what is Jay Powell going to do? Here's my predictions. My prediction is Jay Powell is going to do half basis point increase for those interest rates in the June FOMC meeting, half at July and a quarter at August, and maybe a quarters thereafter. And it's not going to work. There was one brilliant quote this last week from one financial analyst. I love the quote. He said, the inflation will come down either by Jay Powell or by the Wall Street crashing of the stock market. It's a Wall Street crash in the stock market. The Wall Street crash in the stock market will continue to erode inflation until eventually that will bring inflation down, not Jay Powell. Jay Powell will raise those interest rates, Wall Street will negatively react, and then inflation will come down. What about the gross national product and what does that mean for recession? This is very important, folks. This is hugely important. The gross national product of the U.S. economy is falling dramatically. And how quickly is it falling? Well, it was supposed to be 7.1% in the month of April, then came in at 6.9%. This is what you need to know, is that it is shrinking dramatically. And a new report by the CBO and the Department of Labor both said it's coming down to 2% later this year. That 2% inflation is important because this is what's at issue, is that with that 2% inflation, we are closer to recession than ever before. I've been telling you for over a year that when you approach recession, you go to 0% GDP. Now, there's two ways to analyze the GDP when you're looking at recession. One is where it is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. If you believe this quarter is a negative quarter of GDP, we may only have one more until we're in recession. I don't subscribe to that analysis. I believe it's negative, like a negative number. And that means we're likely in recession by early next year. That is why it's important for you to get that 4 stimulus check in every U.S. state. And with that, let's start with them right now. A 4 stimulus check is in every U.S. state, and you're not going to see this anywhere else. You need to watch here, stay here, listen here, because these are checks that I personally found for my viewers when they asked me to find them for them in March of this year. Let's go over all the details, starting right now. In March of this year, my viewer said the Build Back Better Act is not getting done just then. I need a check right now. Can you find me a check? And I looked high and low, and I found it. Where do these checks get found? Executive orders by Joe Biden. Executive orders by Joe Biden. Not one, but lots of checks. And you qualify for them. As a wonderful viewer, Kat, on the live chat a few nights ago said, LA, you always go over eligibility so well. That is one of the big things you do well. Yeah, eligibility is so important when you're talking about any type of stimulus. Who gets it? And let's go over who gets this. You do. Single individual, $75,000 less. You qualify. Married couple, $150,000 less. Yes, you. If you're on benefits, yes, you. Rent, own, children, no children. I got you covered. So we are getting these big checks in the second half. There are 3 things you need to do. First is to subscribe to this channel. Second is to become a member. The link is under the video where it says join here. And the third is stay with me after the commercial break. We're going to go over all those incredible checks. Then we'll be turning to what's going on with this recession. We'll be going on over what happened with that student loan debt forgiveness dramaticness. It's like a soap opera. It is really dramatic. It's coming up in the second half of this video. And then we'll be looking to that European deal being potentially signed today in Brussels that solidifies a future to reducing the price of gasoline for you at home. It's coming up in the second half of this video. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. As we go into a big second half, I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little about the membership community page. See you back shortly. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m.
Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
The excitement starts right now in the big second half from the shores of Santa Monica, California. How are you? Having Memorial Day weekend. Hope you're having a beautiful weekend across the board. I'm so excited you're here with me. In this big second half, we're going to go over those four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. And they're huge. They are absolutely incredible. The efforts of the viewership of this channel to get them, the efforts of the viewership of this channel to tell me to go get them for them are absolutely been incredible. We're going to go over each of these incredible checks starting right now in this big second half. Here is what you need to know, and let's go over all the details at issue with those checks and how you get them. These four stimulus checks in every U.S. state stem from the notion that you pounce. You pounce as a Purple Hawk, and you get those huge checks. Every U.S. state there is. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. And step 3, get that newsletter. Let's go over those incredible checks, starting with the very first one. The very first check is a $6,500 to $12,000 for stimulus check. Wow, that's enormous, Ally. Yeah. The way I've numbered or lettered these checks is alphabetical, just to make it simple for you. Check A is the first one. $6,500 to $12,000. Whoa, that is wonderful. Imagine how much money that can put in your wallet. This huge, wonderful check is a fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. $6,500 to $12,000. Let's go over the details of that incredible check right now. It is called the Weatherizing Grant Check. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. And if you're on benefits, go get it. How do you get it? Step 1, you know the steps. Subscribe to this channel. Step 2, get that incredible membership. The link is under the video. Join here and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Step 3, go down in the membership newsletter to where you find Check A and click the link and apply. You're done. So simple. Go get that incredible check. Yes, it's an online application. Yes, the application link is in the membership newsletter. But you're not going to stop there yet. You're going to go get check B. Whoa, look at that. That is not a typo. That is not a typographical error. $15,000 to $80,000 for stimulus checks. I don't play around here, folks. I'm not here to get you $600 checks. $600 checks to land in my mailbox. Yeah, you use that check up in one day. That ain't enough money for you. I'm here to get you big monster sums of money so that you don't have to be dependent upon anything. I want you to be financially independent for months or potentially a year to come. That's why I only look for monster checks like this one. $15,000 to $80,000. It's a fourth stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less. Go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less. Go get it. And if you're on benefits, go get it. It is called the Homeowner's Grant Check. How do you get this incredible check? Step 1, you know the steps. Subscribe. Subscribe under this video. Step 2, join this channel and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. If you're in the live chat, look at all those beautiful members in the live chat with that emoji behind their name. Hundreds of new members per day. Biggest channel of this magnitude in the United States broadcasting now. So you want to become a member. Step 3, go down to check B. Go down to check B in that membership newsletter. When you see it, you go down, and this is, oh, there it is. You apply. You click the link, it goes right into the nationwide website, then you choose your state and you apply. So simple, but you're not done there yet. Not done? No, you're going to go get check C. Check C is another check, and this is for my renters. Yes, renters and homeowners. It's an MSC check, baby. Oh, yes, it is. $2,000 the first month and $2,000 every month thereafter is what it's averaging out. 12 months at $2,000. It is rent, utilities, mortgage assistance. How do you get that check C? Subscribe. Become a member. Go down in that membership newsletter until you get to where we talk about Check C in that membership newsletter. Now, at Check C, it's going to tell you who to call. For Check C, you're not applying online. It is via phone calls. 15 of them you're going to make approximately, and you're going to contact certain organizations, tell them keywords, what to say, how to say it, where to call are all in the membership newsletter. And that is how you rock and roll. Now, when you look at that incredible Check C, understand that you're coming in a history of viewers who have gotten monster sums of Check C since the earliest days of 2021. Check C was originally called Purple on this channel, and I've gotten people this money since December of 2020. But when it was codified under the third stimulus, there was a lot of this money, a lot of it. And when Congress made this third stimulus, billions of dollars were allocated for it. Rent, utilities, mortgages, this is more. And viewers have done so well. Here's what you need to remember. Once you get money, go back and get more money. Here are the success stories. Look at this money for rent. Huge. Look at the money for rent that people have gotten for Check C from this channel. Astronomical. That's why you want to become a member. Look at the numbers for utilities. Wow. $15,000 for utility bills paid by these organizations. That's why you want to become a member. Look at the combo numbers. Look at Nisi, wonderful member, longtime viewer. She was at $23,000. This is a November graphic from last year. She goes back and gets money all the time. That's what you do. You get one check, you go back and get another check. You start with $500, you go back and get another check. I have a wonderful viewer named Margaret. She does the same thing. She keeps on going back and getting checks. There's Mark. He was at $32,000. He went back. He went to $50,000. Then he went to $100,000. Then he got check B. He had $166. Here's Lorraine. She was at $105. Now she's at nearly $160,000, almost $200,000. So what do? Let's recap all these elements. And I have an extra tidbit for you that viewers say is so helpful. Step one, subscribe. Go right in this video and hit the subscribe button. Why? This is the #1 broadcasting channel in the nation. #1 for this subject matter. It's #3 overall for financial news. #3 overall for financial news with the #1 most watched show for financial news in prime time. You don't want to miss a single recording. Moreover, you don't want to miss any announcement of any other stimulus coming your way. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, there's a little bell under the video's main page. Hit that bell and make it sure it's set to all notifications. All notifications, a little bell. Number 3, join. The link is under the video. Hit that join button and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And number 3, get that newsletter. Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. At 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you'll receive probably 2 alerts. There'll be one for a video, because I think Stream of Stimulus airs then. And then for the newsletter, it'll say newsletter. It'll say the title of the email, the alert will say new LA post, and the first line will say newsletter. Lower in there, it'll say click here to go to the post. The post is actually the newsletter. You go right in, and there you go. You're done. Now, if you have a question about how to manipulate the newsletter, how to find it, how to open it, how to use it, I have a newsletter, How to Help video. Yes, a video made on YouTube just about the newsletter. Send me a private message on Facebook, and I will send you that video so you can follow along, and it helps you with using the newsletter. Send me a private message at facebook.com/LALATE news with the news at the end. And there you go. Let's go into the surprises for some, but not surprise for you, of what happened with 7 stimulus. The 7th stimulus, of course, is that student loan debt forgiveness. And that student loan debt forgiveness featured on this channel for several months, had a lot of predictions on this channel, and a lot of factual-based news reporting. I was telling you what insiders were saying the president would and wouldn't do, and what guidance was coming in on his potential ideas of what he wanted to do and not do. Well, let's go over what I had said. When running for the president of the United States, Joe Biden said he was going to forgive $10,000 of student loan debt. Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer, the day that Joe Biden was elected, said do $50,000. Then they ran on a big advocacy mode to do $50,000. He never said yes one time. So I said $50,000 likely not going to happen. What then happened thereafter? Liz Warren made a series of YouTube videos saying that the student loan debts have mostly amounted from people who are defrauded by their university against the student, and that those debts need to be forgiven. And that's the reason why he should do $50,000. Well, Joe Biden had an interesting take on that. And that interesting take was, okay, if your debt is the result of being defrauded by the university against you, if your university defrauding you, I'm forgiving your debt completely. I'm not even putting a cap on it. So he got that done 2 months ago. Suddenly, the bite of Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer's argument was gone because Joe Biden took care of the most dangerous of the debts that was procured by fraud. Individuals' debts that were a result of other things were also taken care of by the president. If you became disabled after graduation, went to work in the nonprofit or public sector, your debts were forgiven as well. And then if your debts were in default, they were put into good standing. That left us back with the question of how much. We were down to the question of how much. The last week of Jen Psaki's term as press secretary uh, had a press conference about Putin. And Biden was asked, will you do $50,000? What's going on? And he said, I'm absolutely not doing 50,000. 2 weeks ago, I told you that the president is set to announce imminently, within days, his determination on student loan debt, that he's meeting with individuals in the White House. That was the first thing I said. And those individuals in the White House will be advocating for a big number. Number two, I said. And number three, I said the president is likely to stand his ground and say $10,000. Number four, I also said to you, there's a reason why he's not telling you the public announcement. These are behind doors conversations in the Oval Office. I told you there's a reason he's not publicly announcing the number. And I said there's two reasons. One, the midterm elections. He's trying to hold this for the midterm elections and use it as a big victory lap. And number two, that the number is angering some people. What happened this week? Absolutely every single thing that I had been reporting came true. It was confirmed in a major news article by a major U.S. newspaper. It said this last week, Joseph Biden met with those advocates in the White House. They demanded $50,000. He said, I'm not doing it. He said, I'll do $10,000. And they were so irate that they told press, that they told their constituents, that they started protesting, and they called it, quote, a slap in the face. And that is not what Joe Biden wanted to have happen. He did not want the news to get out that he made an offer and that he rejected the offer. This is where it was a calculated error by the president of the White House. He wanted to do $10,000 for over a year and a half ago. He should have done the $10,000 and moved on. There was no way to win these people who wanted more money over to your side of the negotiation table. He should have said $10,000 and moved on. Instead, he didn't. Now they've leaked the news. Now they're going after him. And now it looks like there's going to be no winners. Who would get the $10,000 under this offer? It's not a law yet, just an offer. $10,000 if you are a single individual, make $150,000 or less. If you're a married couple, $300,000 or less. Yes, these are different numbers than stimulus. Again, I say again, single individual, $150,000 or less, $10,000 would be forgiven. $300,000 or less, $10,000 would be forgiven. Does a lot of that not make sense? Absolutely, it doesn't make sense. I'll give you a first example. Let's say you're a sole business owner and you had a really great year this year and you made $160,000. Then your debt's not going to be forgiven. And next year you take a bath because of recession. Then your debt's forgiven. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. More importantly, what doesn't make sense is the holding on to this. Let's go back to Brussels. Brussels sprouts? No, Brussels. Sugar-free Brussels sprouts? No, Brussels, the country. Brussels is meeting today. Well, not the country. The committee that would solve the situation for gasoline is meeting today in Brussels. And they are the European Commission, led by President Ursula von der Leyen. And they said, no less than a week ago, is recorded on this channel, that they are just days away from a deal on the Russian embargo of that embargo of Russian oil. Huge. I have been reporting this for over a week. They said it's just days away. And when I reported, I said, okay, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Well, that is reportedly what's happening today. They are going into a major conference the 30th of May and the 1st and 2nd day of June, and they reportedly want this deal signed by then. The deal would involve complete Russian embargo of Russian oil by all the Western allies, with the exclusion of Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic that got a waiver. This is why, as we are in a Memorial Day weekend, that if you're going to look at the price of the gasoline at the pump, it went up. It went up, and the international price of Brent crude skyrocketed to levels I was shocked to report. Let's take it back a notch, and let me tell you why this is a shocker from even me, Mr. Predictor. I have been telling you over the last month that the international price of gasoline, Brent crude, was hovering at a decent number, 111, 112, nothing out of control. And I said it will go to 120 a barrel once the Chinese lockdown is over. Tonight, it's at 120. How did it get to 120 if the Chinese lockdown's not over yet? This meeting because it shot up based upon the belief that the Russian embargo will start this weekend. Oh boy, that was a shocker. So how good or how bad is this for you? Here's my analysis for this. I got to tell you, this is very complicated stuff. I believe it's initially going to be very, very bad, and then it's going to be very good. First, China will come off of lockdown in about less than 7 days, most analysts believe. And when they do, they're the number 2 and number 3 largest consumer of gasoline internationally. They don't consume gasoline. They haven't. They've been staying locked in their homes. And that consumption will increase shortage and then increase the price. So while I was saying they were going to bring it to 120, they could bring it to 125. They could bring it to 125, maybe 130. That's the first step. So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Then what's going to happen next? Once all the Western allies are off of this Russian oil, because not all of them are off of it, the US and England and a few others, once they're all off of it, then they all as a team have to find the solution, the replacement. You know, it's things that people always ask me, Ali, what do you think about this and that? And what do you think about that? This is one of those things that I just don't understand. Why wait? They should have had this backup for that Russian and that OPEC oil since March when Putin invaded Ukraine. They should have had this ready since October. I detailed this almost 3 months ago. When those 100,000 Russian troops were at the border of Ukraine before Halloween last year. And I said, if Putin invades Ukraine, it's going to be the biggest economic story of 2022. The White House did dispatch Janet Yellen, your Treasury Secretary here, to analyze the impact on oil. Well, did they get a solution ready? They did not. Once Putin invaded Ukraine, did any of the Western allies get a solution ready? They sort of did, but they didn't follow through on it. They had the JCPOA, which is a major deal that would remove the embargo of Iranian products caused because of human rights violations, and then allow that oil back into circulation. That's a good one. That would replace the missing oil. Fell apart, didn't get done. Not really clear why. No one's telling us why. Then Venezuela, pursued and then not pursued, then pursued and not pursued. Again, Venezuela is embargoed because of human rights violations there as well. So 2.5 million barrels missing per day because of Putin and OPEC Plus and the Western allies. Once they sign this deal, they're going to have to get that oil right away. So I sort of like this deal being done because it forces these people to get it done right quickly as part of the issue. What about Jay Powell? What about inflation? What about these interest rates? What about the stock market crash? What about the housing? Let's go over all that right now. And my analysis for this in these final minutes, here is the 5-minute rundown. Number one, stock market crash. Yes, the stock market will continue to crash throughout the rest of this year. You're going to see blips and moments where we go up and then we go back down. We saw a week in which retail sales numbers were giving conflicting data. People thinking that you could compare Macy's versus Dollar Tree. You can compare Walmart versus Abercrombie & Fitch. There's very, very confusing elements in the stake of this economy. It involves things as simple as do not put winter clothing in the store in the month of May. And if it comes late, you're going to take a bath if you're a corporation. Simple things like that. The stock market will continue to go down. It's going to go down another 25%. The overall market, not your individual stocks. So if your stock is already down, it's going to go down even further. Housing market crash. Housing market crash is just starting. All the data from those people who have not bought since the mortgage rates went up in about March or April has not yet come in. It's going to be 2 more months until we see that data. The FOMC of June. Yes, Jay Powell. He's going to do half basis points. As simple as that. He's not going to do 3/4. He's not going to do a quarter. And then he's not really going to give us guidance thereafter. Get rid of anything that is flexible base interest rates at home. Credit card debt, car payments, get rid of it because you're going to get killed as those rates continue to go up throughout the rest of the year. Then finally, stimulus. Build Back Better Act, I think it's going to get done in the next few weeks. SS300, Joe Biden needs to make that swap from COLA to inflation. Swap that COLA for inflation, Joe. Make that phone call to the Social Security Administration head. That inflation is tracking at 8% right now. People's benefits would go up $200 more per month. What about December? Well, I've been saying 4% inflation in December 2022 for a year. And guess who confirmed my reporting again? Department of Labor just a few days ago. They say it's going to be 4%. Jay Powell keeps on saying 2%. Department of Labor said absolutely not happening. That is your big rundown, and you know what the final thing to end with is, of course. The thing to end with is those 4 stimulus checks. Go under this video and subscribe. Step 1, hit that subscribe button. Then step 2, become a member. Step 3, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. And then final step, go into the membership newsletter and go get those 4 stimulus checks. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, to the shores of the East Coast, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, have a beautiful Memorial Day weekend. I'll be with you all weekend long. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a great day. Stay out of the sun. Put your sunblock on. And have a beautiful, wonderful, calming, and relaxing day. Stay informed, stay focused. Stay with me through all the videos throughout the day, and stay with LA for more.